What if true freedom isn't about gaining more, but letting go completely? Can you imagine stepping off the edge, not in fear, but in full trust, and discovering that's where life truly begins? Stay with us, because today we'll uncover ancient Buddhist wisdom that teaches how surrender, not struggle, leads to peace. As Gautama Buddha once profoundly said, "Let go over a cliff. Die completely. Then come back to life. After that, you cannot be deceived." These words are more than poetic. They capture the very heart of Buddhist teaching on letting go. In just a few sentences, this quote invites us to release everything we cling to, our fears, expectations, identities, and allow ourselves to be reborn into something freer, deeper, and more honest. It speaks of surrendering not with despair, but with courage. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about giving in to life's natural rhythm. But here's the question many of us ask. In a world filled with deadlines, ambitions, and emotional demands, how can we truly live this way? How can we apply ancient spiritual wisdom in a modern life that seems to demand control at every turn? That's exactly what we'll explore in today's video. We'll journey through 13 transformative principles in Buddhism, all echoing the central theme of non-forcing. These teachings, rooted in mindfulness, acceptance, and inner clarity, don't demand we fight the current. Instead, they guide us to flow with it, naturally, peacefully, powerfully. And before we begin, did you know that only 1.9% of our viewers are currently subscribed to Buddhism Seeds? If you find value in wisdom like this, help us reach more hearts by subscribing, liking, and sharing this video with someone who might need a breath of peace today. Principle 1. Non-attachment. Non-attachment is not about caring less. It's about caring without clinging. At its core, this principle encourages us to release our tight grip on people, outcomes, possessions, even our own expectations. And that's not always easy. Imagine this. You've poured your soul into a work project. You've stayed late, sacrificed your free time, and in your heart, you're hoping, maybe even expecting, a promotion. That hope feels natural, right? But that very hope is also a subtle form of attachment. Buddhism teaches us that attachment binds us to suffering. Non-attachment, on the other hand, liberates us. Instead of obsessing over results, we focus on the journey itself, on the effort, the experience, the growth. When we learn to do our best without tying our happiness to the outcome, we begin to taste a rare kind of peace. A peace that isn't dependent on success or recognition. A peace that says, "I showed up fully, and that's enough." This shift in mindset can drastically reduce the stress and anxiety we often carry. Life is unpredictable. Promotions don't always come. People don't always behave as we hope. Plans fall apart. But when we stop fighting reality and start flowing with it, we find clarity and calm, even in chaos. Non-attachment also deepens our relationships. Think about a time you expected someone to react a certain way, and they didn't. That disappointment? It stemmed from attachment to an idea of how they should be. But when we let go of that mental script, we allow people to be who they are. And something beautiful happens. Our relationships become more genuine. We begin to love without conditions. We listen with real presence. We respect others for who they are, not who we wish they were. As we've just discovered, non-attachment doesn't mean detachment from life. It means freedom within it. And from that freedom comes something truly valuable: growth. When we stop clinging to results, we open ourselves to new experiences. Non-attachment is incredibly liberating because it frees us from the fear of failure. If you're not fixated on success right away, you're far more likely to take chances, step outside your comfort zone, and say yes to opportunities you might have otherwise ignored. Think of it this way: if you're not afraid of fall, you're more willing to fly. Whether it's starting a new hobby, switching careers, or entering a new relationship, when your happiness isn't chained to a perfect outcome, your world expands. You grow, you evolve, and that's not all. Non-attachment also invites us to enjoy the journey, not just chase the finish line. It's about finding moments of joy in the now, smiling at the way sunlight filters through the trees, savoring a quiet evening with a loved one. It's not that you give up on your dreams or stop planning for the future. Rather, you stop putting your entire happiness on hold, waiting for those goals to be fulfilled. You realize that the destination matters, but the path you're walking on right now, that matters too. When we practice non-attachment, our stress lightens, our relationships deepen, our sense of self becomes less entangled in status, success, or validation. We begin to live more freely, more fully, and more peacefully. Principle 2. Mindfulness. If non-attachment teaches us to release our grip on outcomes, mindfulness teaches us to embrace the present with open arms. Mindfulness is one of the most fundamental teachings in Buddhism. It asks us to be fully here in this moment, not drifting into the past or rushing into the future. It means paying attention to our thoughts, emotions, and surroundings without judgment. Not labeling what we feel as good or bad, but simply noticing it. And in doing so, we gain the power to respond rather than react. But what does mindfulness look like in our daily lives? Take a simple act, like drinking a cup of tea. How often do we do it while scrolling through our phones or thinking about work? Mindfulness invites us to slow down, to feel the warmth of the cup in our hands, to notice the steam curling gently into the air, to truly taste the tea. By immersing ourselves in that one experience, no distractions, no rush, we awaken a quiet joy. Stress melts away, the mind softens, a sense of calm begins to rise. And mindfulness isn't just for quiet moments, it's especially powerful in stressful situations. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, you're late, your mind's racing, your hands tighten on the steering wheel, but then you remember to be mindful. You pause, you take a breath, you notice the tension in your body and gently let it go. You stop fighting the moment, and in doing so, find peace within it. This kind of mindfulness builds emotional resilience. It trains us to face challenges with more clarity and less reactivity. In relationships, mindfulness helps us truly connect. Instead of half listening while preparing a reply in our heads, we become fully present. We hear the words, sense the emotions, and give the other person the gift of real attention. That presence creates trust. That trust deepens love. And on a physical level, mindfulness supports our health. Research shows it reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, improves sleep, and helps manage anxiety and depression by breaking cycles of negative thinking. As we explored in the last section, mindfulness creates a calm inner space where we can breathe, observe, and choose, rather than simply react. And one of the most powerful gifts it offers is this: the ability to notice our thoughts before they take over our emotions. When we're present, we catch negative thoughts early, before they spiral into anxiety or frustration. we become more attuned to what's happening inside us, and this awareness is like a gentle light in the dark, helping us navigate moments that might otherwise overwhelm us. Even simple moments, like washing dishes or walking to the bus stop, can transform into something richer when seen through a mindful lens. The sound of water running, the breeze on your face, the rhythm of your steps. These everyday experiences become invitations to connect with life, and suddenly, life feels more vibrant, more alive. Mindfulness isn't about escaping our hectic routines. It's about creating small islands of presence within them, pausing, breathing, just being. And from that space, we're able to break away from autopilot behavior and instead make intentional, thoughtful choices. When we live mindfully, we not only take better care of ourselves, we become a source of calm and clarity for those around us. Principle 3. Acceptance. While mindfulness teaches us to notice, acceptance teaches us to embrace. In Buddhism, acceptance means welcoming life as it is, without the constant urge to mold it into what we think it should be. It's about recognizing reality, our current circumstances, emotions, and even imperfections, and allowing them to exist without resistance. Consider the natural world. A tree doesn't fight the wind. It bends, it sways, it moves with the gusts. In the same way, acceptance invites us to move with the winds of life rather than brace against them. Imagine planning a perfect picnic, only to have your day disrupted by sudden rain. Without acceptance, frustration floods in. But with acceptance, you open your umbrella, smile at the unpredictability of nature, and perhaps enjoy the beauty of raindrops dancing on leaves. In everyday life, acceptance can change everything, especially how we handle disappointment and setbacks. Take a common example. You worked hard for a promotion, but someone else got it. Naturally, you feel let down. But when you refuse to accept the reality, that disappointment turns into bitterness, stress, or even resentment. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up on your ambitions. It means seeing things clearly, acknowledging what is, without letting it hijack your emotional well-being. From that grounded place, you can assess what's next, what to learn, how to grow, or where to pivot. This principle also transforms our relationships. How often do we wish others would change, be more punctual, more sensitive, more like us? But when we accept people as they are, we soften the edges of conflict. If a friend is always late, acceptance helps us adjust our expectations. Maybe we bring a book. Maybe we arrive 10 minutes later next time. Rather than being upset again and again, we choose peace. Acceptance is just as essential when it comes to ourselves. Many of us are far kinder to others than to our own hearts. We judge our flaws, replay our mistakes, and silently scold ourselves. But when we practice self-acceptance, we begin to change that inner voice. We say, "I'm doing my best. I'm human. I'm still growing." This shift fosters emotional resilience, compassion, and true healing. And beyond emotional health, acceptance has powerful physical benefits as well. Chronic stress, often caused by resisting what is, can lead to headaches, fatigue, high blood pressure, even heart disease. By embracing acceptance, we reduce stress, protect our bodies, and promote overall well-being. At its heart, acceptance is about letting go of control and meeting life with openness, a powerful key to peace. That brings us to a closely related quality, one that supports acceptance and strengthens our inner calm: patience. Principle 4. Patience. In Buddhism, Patience is not just about waiting, it's a profound spiritual strength. It's the ability to remain calm and centered amid delays, discomfort, or uncertainty. It teaches us that life has its own timing, and that trying to force things often leads to more suffering, not less. Picture this. You plant a seed in rich soil. You water it, place it in the sun, and tend to it daily. But no matter how much you hope, you can't rush it to bloom. It will grow when it's ready. That's the heart of patience, trusting the process, even when you don't yet see the results. In our modern world, where everything is fast, downloads, deliveries, decisions, it's easy to feel frustrated when things don't happen on our schedule. Maybe your computer is lagging. Maybe you're stuck in traffic. Maybe you're waiting for someone to respond, to change, or to show up. Practicing patience doesn't mean pretending you're not annoyed. It means acknowledging your feelings and choosing not to let them rule you. You breathe, you wait, you respond, not react. This small shift can reduce stress, protect your energy, and ultimately make your days feel lighter, calmer, and more joyful. Patience is also a cornerstone of healthy relationships. When someone speaks, do we truly listen, or are we just waiting for our turn to talk? When conflicts arise, are we quick to judge, quick to snap? Patience gives us a space to pause, to hear, to understand before we respond. This creates more meaningful and respectful connections where each person feels valued. And when it comes to personal development, patience is essential. Whether you're learning a new skill, changing a habit, or pursuing a dream, progress rarely happens overnight. There are setbacks, plateaus, even failures along the way, but patience keeps you moving. It whispers, "Keep going, you're getting there." It's that quiet strength that helps us endure when motivation fades and results aren't yet visible. Even for mental health, patience is deeply healing. Often, anxiety comes from our desire for things to change right now. We want to feel better immediately, to solve every problem today. But patience reminds us, healing takes time, growth takes time, understanding takes time, and that's okay. By practicing patience, we reduce the pressure we place on ourselves and others. We allow the present to be enough. We begin to live more mindfully, more gently, engaging with life as it is, not racing toward what's next. Think about how often we say, "I can't wait until the weekend," or "I'll be happy once I get there." Patience helps shift that mindset. It invites us to enjoy this moment, this breath, this conversation, right here, right now. Ultimately, in Buddhism, patience is an act of quiet courage. It is active endurance, not passive waiting. It is the strength to move through life's ups and downs with grace, resilience, and peace. Next, we'll explore a powerful truth that underlies everything we've discussed so far. Impermanence, the ever-changing nature of life, and how it can set us free. As we discovered with patience, when we stop rushing and simply allow life to unfold, we begin to experience a quieter kind of happiness, one that comes from within. And when we combine that patience with simplicity, something beautiful begins to happen. Our lives become lighter, calmer, and far more meaningful. Principle 5. Simplicity. In Buddhism, simplicity is not about deprivation, it's about clarity. It's about removing the excess so we can focus on what truly matters. This principle gently invites us to let go of the unnecessary, whether it's clutter in our homes, chaos in our schedules, or noise in our minds. Imagine walking into a room filled with piles of things you no longer use. At first, you may not notice the weight of it, but over time, the clutter begins to press on your peace. The same goes for our inner world. Mental clutter, emotional baggage, and endless distractions all cloud our ability to feel grounded and joyful. Simplicity helps us clear that space. It starts in the physical realm. Decluttering your home, even just one room, can create a sense of ease and clarity. You breathe deeper, you move more freely, your surroundings begin to reflect your inner calm. But simplicity goes far beyond physical things. It's also about your time and energy. Ask yourself, do I say yes too often? Do I pack my calendar with things that drain me more than they fulfill me? Living simply means learning to say no with kindness and reserving your energy for what truly aligns with your values. In a world that glorifies multitasking, Zen wisdom reminds us of the power of doing just one thing at a time. That's right, one thing, with full presence. Whether it's eating, working, or walking, simplicity in action means giving our undivided attention. And when we do, even the most ordinary moments, like savoring a warm meal, can become deeply satisfying. You notice the aroma, the textures, the rhythm of your breath. It turns into a quiet meditation. Simplicity also transforms our relationships. When we declutter our commitments, we create space, not just in our schedules, but in our hearts. We begin to give the people we love our full attention. And that presence, genuine, unhurried, undivided, is one of the greatest gifts we can offer. Instead of spreading ourselves thin across dozens of surface-level connections, simplicity helps us nurture a few meaningful ones. These deeper bonds bring far more emotional fulfillment and a true sense of belonging. In terms of personal growth, simplicity clears the path for self-discovery. When we're not overwhelmed by endless obligations or chasing material goals, we begin to hear something we've often missed, our own inner voice. We gain insight into what really matters to us, and from there, we can begin shaping a life that's not just busy, but purposeful. Even our health benefits. Less clutter, fewer commitments, and more mindful choices reduce stress and anxiety. And that ease of mind ripples through the body, supporting better sleep, lower blood pressure, and a stronger immune system. Ultimately, simplicity isn't about doing less for the sake of it. It's about doing less of what doesn't matter, so you have more space for what truly does. It's a conscious choice to create room for joy, for peace, for connection. Previously, we explored how simplicity clears space for clarity and joy, allowing us to reconnect with what truly matters. And once we've made that space, what naturally flows into it is something even more powerful: compassion. Principle 6. Compassion. Compassion lies at the very heart of Buddhism. It's more than just kindness. It's a deep, empathetic understanding of another's suffering, combined with a sincere desire to help. It is a practice that uplifts not just those around us, but also transforms our own inner landscape in remarkable ways. Think back to a moment when you were struggling. Perhaps you were ill, overwhelmed, or grieving a loss, and someone showed up, not with solutions, but with warmth, presence, and care. Do you remember how that moment felt? That quiet act of compassion became a beacon of comfort, a reminder that you were not alone. Now imagine turning that same compassion outward. When we extend empathy to others, whether it's a friend going through a tough time, a stranger in distress, or even someone who's simply having a bad day, it doesn't just ease their burden. It also softens our own hearts, reminding us of our shared humanity. And often, compassion in action is beautifully simple. It might be listening attentively to someone without rushing to fix them. It could be helping a neighbor carry groceries, or it might be offering a genuine thank you to the people who support us every day. Each act of kindness is like a drop in a pond, sending ripples through our relationships and our communities. It strengthens bonds, builds trust, and fosters a world where people feel seen, heard, and supported. But compassion does more than just warm hearts. It heals minds. When we shift our focus from ourselves to the well-being of others, our own problems often feel lighter. This shift in perspective reduces feelings of loneliness, anxiety, and even depression. Scientific studies confirm that compassionate acts activate areas of the brain linked to positive emotions, lowering stress and boosting our overall mood. And just as compassion connects us to others, it also leads us toward forgiveness. When we understand the struggles others face, we become more willing to forgive both them and ourselves. We begin to see mistakes not as failures, but as part of the complex fabric of being human. And from that understanding, emotional healing begins. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is strength rooted in compassion. Compassion also expands our sense of responsibility toward the world around us. It awakens us to suffering we may have previously ignored and inspires us to take action. For example, compassion for animals might lead someone to choose a vegetarian lifestyle or support ethical farming. Compassion for the environment might lead to more sustainable living choices. These choices, though small on the surface, can have a profound collective impact. And just as it nurtures emotional well-being, compassion nourishes the body. Studies show that people who consistently engage in kind and compassionate behavior tend to have lower blood pressure, reduced risk of heart disease, and even longer lifespans. Why? Because when we live with care and connection, our stress levels drop and our overall health improves. At its core, compassion in Buddhism is about recognizing that we are deeply connected to one another. It's about moving through the world with a heart that sees, feels, and responds, not out of obligation, but out of love. When we cultivate a compassionate heart, we don't just lighten the burdens of others, we also enrich our own lives, creating a cycle of kindness that uplifts everyone it touches. After exploring the heart-opening power of compassion, we naturally move towards something equally transformative: the ability to see clearly, not just with the eyes, but with the mind and heart. This is where the next principle comes in. Principle 7. Insight. In Buddhism, insight isn't just knowledge, it's deep understanding, born from quiet observation and inner awareness. It's the clarity that comes when we begin to see life, ourselves, and reality as they truly are, not as we assume or wish them to be. This kind of insight is often cultivated through meditation, a cornerstone of Buddhist practice. When we meditate, we sit in stillness, not to escape life, but to observe it. We watch our thoughts rise and fall. We feel our emotions without judging them. We notice the sensations in our body, the rhythm of our breath, and the patterns of our mind. And in that space of silence, something powerful happens. We begin to see beyond the surface. Let's say you meditate regularly. Over time, you may start noticing a repetitive pattern. Perhaps you constantly worry about things that never happen. Or maybe you replay past mistakes, carrying guilt that no longer serves you. Meditation helps shine a light on these thought loops. It doesn't push them away, it helps you understand them. That understanding, that insight, is what begins to shift your life. Imagine realizing that every time you're stressed, you tend to overeat, lash out, or procrastinate. Instead of forcing yourself to change with willpower alone, insight allows you to gently ask, "Why am I reacting this way?" From there, you can respond with compassion and curiosity rather than blame. You start to work with your habits, not against them. And over time, those habits soften because you've addressed the root, not just the surface. Insight also reduces our tendency to force outcomes. We often try to tightly control our circumstances, believing there's only one correct path to happiness or success. But meditation reveals something else entirely, that life is fluid, full of unexpected turns and multiple paths forward. This realization invites flexibility. Rather than bending life to your will, you begin to move with it. You adapt, you breathe, you trust. And as your understanding deepens, something else shifts. You become more present. You stop chasing after future rewards or obsessing over what's next. Instead, you begin to find contentment in the moment you're in. This doesn't mean giving up on goals. It means not postponing your peace while waiting for them. The benefits extend to personal relationships as well. Insight helps us realize that others, too, carry unseen struggles and habits. When we understand that everyone has inner battles, we become more patient, more empathetic. This reduces conflict and nurtures stronger, more supportive connections, where people feel seen and accepted. On a physical level, insight brings stillness that your body deeply appreciates. The calm, focus, and emotional regulation gained from regular meditation are linked to a number of health benefits: lower blood pressure, reduced anxiety, a stronger immune system. These arise not from magic, but from the reduced stress that comes with living more gently and seeing life more clearly. Ultimately, insight in Buddhism is about seeing through the illusion, to understand not just what's happening, but why it's happening. It helps us know ourselves more deeply and approach life with less struggle, more wisdom, and far more peace. As we saw in the last section, insight helps us see clearly into our thoughts, behaviors, and the nature of life itself. And with that clarity comes a deeper truth. Everything is constantly changing. That truth leads us to one of the most essential teachings in Buddhism. Principle 8. Impermanence. Impermanence is at the very core of Buddhist wisdom. It teaches us that change is not the exception, it's the rule. Everything around us, including ourselves, is in a state of constant transformation. From the smallest moment to the biggest milestones, nothing remains the same forever. When we truly understand this, we begin to live differently. We stop clinging so tightly. We stop resisting what is inevitable. And we begin to appreciate each moment for what it is: fleeting, precious, and alive. Think about the natural world. Each year, spring bursts into bloom, only to melt into the warmth of summer. Then summer softens into autumn, which fades into the quiet hush of winter. No season lasts forever, yet each one holds its own beauty, because it's temporary. In much the same way, our lives unfold in phases. Some are filled with joy, others with difficulty. Some last longer than expected. Others pass in the blink of an eye. Recognizing the impermanent nature of these seasons of life can help us cherish the good and endure the hard, knowing neither will last forever. In daily life, embracing impermanence means letting go of our need for everything to stay the same. It might be your current job, your health, your relationships, even your current mood. Nothing is static. So rather than fearing change or pretending it won't come, we learn to meet it with grace. Let's say you love your job right now. That's wonderful. But holding on to it with a rigid mindset, believing it must never change, can create fear and anxiety. When we accept that things may shift, we become more resilient, more adaptable, and less afraid of the future. This principle also helps us treasure the people in our lives. When we understand that relationships can change or even end, we begin to value our time with others more deeply. We become more present, more intentional. We say the kind words now. We forgive more easily. We don't wait because we know we might not get another chance. Impermanence is not meant to make us sad. In fact, it's incredibly freeing. It relieves us from the pressure of making things perfect or permanent. It allows us to move with the flow of life instead of fighting it. And in doing so, our stress decreases. Our flexibility increases. We become like water, able to adapt, bend, and find peace in any container life gives us. This awareness also keeps us from taking things for granted. Our abilities, our loved ones, our opportunities, they're all here for a time. And knowing that time is limited pushes us to be more alive, more engaged, and more grateful. In times of struggle, impermanence can be a powerful source of comfort. It reminds us, this too shall pass. No pain, no sadness, no hardship lasts forever. And sometimes that reminder is all we need to keep going. On a deeper level, accepting impermanence brings us into alignment with the true rhythm of life, where change is not something to be feared, but embraced. This acceptance eases the inner resistance that causes so much of our stress, replacing it with harmony and peace. And physically, this matters more than we realize. When we stop resisting change, our minds relax and our bodies follow. We sleep better, we breathe easier, our hearts feel lighter. The stress that once weighed us down begins to lift simply because we've stopped fighting what is. Ultimately, the principle of impermanence teaches us to live more fully in the present, to appreciate what we have right now, and to let go when it's time. In embracing impermanence, we learn to let go with grace and live fully in the fleeting moments we're given. That understanding brings us to another core teaching in Buddhism, one that gets to the very heart of human struggle: freedom from suffering. Principle 9. Freedom from suffering. In Buddhism, freedom from suffering doesn't come from eliminating pain. It comes from detaching from our desires. It teaches us that suffering isn't always caused by what happens to us, but by our deep attachment to what we want to happen. We all have desires. We long for love, security, success, recognition. We crave material comfort, emotional affirmation, and sometimes control over how life unfolds. And while these desires are natural, even human, they can also become the root of our distress. Why? Because when we become overly attached to a specific outcome, we tether our happiness to it. We say, "I'll be happy if I get that job," or "when they love me back," or "once I reach that goal." And in doing so, we give our peace away to something uncertain, something we can't fully control. Detachment doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we stop clinging. It means we pursue our goals, we love fully, we try our best, but we don't let the outcome define our emotional state. Imagine wanting a new job. You prepare, you apply, you interview. But instead of tying your happiness to getting the position, you focus on what you learned, how you grew, and the next steps ahead. Whether you succeed or not, you remain grounded, calm, and at peace. That's the quiet power of detachment. In everyday life, practicing detachment can drastically reduce both stress and disappointment. Traffic jams? They don't ruin your day. A cancelled plan? You adjust rather than spiral. Even bigger losses, like a relationship ending or an opportunity falling through, can be met with resilience. Why? Because your emotional balance isn't solely tied to having things your way. Detachment also leads to greater gratitude. When you're not consumed by what's missing, you can truly see what's present. You begin to enjoy what you already have: your breath, your body, your morning coffee, a friend's kind word. The chase slows down and appreciation grows in its place. And it's important to note, detachment is not the same as indifference. It doesn't kill ambition or make you passive. On the contrary, it allows you to work towards your goals with less pressure and more clarity. You're free to move forward, not out of desperation, but from a place of purpose and peace. This perspective supports more sustainable personal growth. You're not burning out chasing perfection. You're not stuck in the loop of not enough. Instead, you're walking the path with presence, valuing each step, not just the destination. Detachment also transforms our relationships. When we stop expecting others to fulfill every emotional need or behave a certain way, we begin to accept and love them as they are. We listen more, we judge less. We replace disappointment with understanding and control with connection. This leads to bonds that are more honest, more generous, and more enduring. And yes, the physical body benefits too. The stress we carry from unmet desires often manifests in the body. Tight shoulders, headaches, fatigue, digestive issues, even heart disease. By practicing detachment, we reduce that inner tension, and our bodies begin to heal. We sleep better, we breathe deeper, we live longer. Ultimately, freedom from suffering begins not by changing the world, but by changing our relationship with desire. It's not about having less, it's about needing less to feel at peace. As we explored in the previous section, freedom from suffering comes when we let go of grasping and learn to live from within, not ruled by our cravings, but guided by presence and clarity. This naturally brings us to a closely connected principle: inner peace. Principle 10. Inner peace. Inner peace is a cornerstone of Buddhist practice. It teaches that true, lasting peace doesn't come from perfect conditions around us, but from a deep well of calm within us. Rather than trying to control the outer world, we learn to stabilize our inner world, and from there, real serenity begins to bloom. Picture a still pond deep in the forest. Above, winds may blow and rains may fall, but beneath the surface, the water remains undisturbed. This is the nature of inner peace, not the absence of difficulty, but a stable tranquility that remains even when life's weather changes. To achieve this kind of peace, we first have to understand a fundamental truth. External conditions are always shifting. Jobs change, relationships evolve, success comes and goes. If we tie our happiness to these ever-changing elements, our peace becomes just as fragile. Instead, Buddhism invites us to develop qualities that are stable and self-generating: mindfulness, acceptance, compassion. These inner strengths become our emotional anchor, regardless of what's happening around us. In real life, this principle is deeply empowering. Let's say your peace depends entirely on having a specific job or being in a certain relationship. If that job is lost or the relationship shifts, your emotional foundation may collapse. But if your peace is cultivated from within, you'll still feel sadness, but you won't be undone by it. You'll bend, not break. That's the gift of inner peace. Resilience. It allows you to face life's challenges with more clarity, more stability, and far less anxiety. One of the most effective ways to build inner peace is through meditation. By sitting quietly and observing your thoughts and feelings, you begin to see them for what they are. Passing clouds, not permanent truths. You discover that you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. And in that discovery lies power. The power to respond with wisdom, not react with impulse. Inner peace also profoundly shapes how we relate to others. When you're at peace with yourself, you're far less likely to be triggered by others' words or actions. You listen more deeply. You respond with patience. You become a calming presence in your relationships, not another source of tension. And like many Buddhist principles, inner peace carries real physical benefits too. Chronic stress, often caused by dissatisfaction with external circumstances, is linked to a host of health issues: heart disease, high blood pressure, sleep disorders, anxiety. By nurturing peace within, we reduce stress, support our immune system, and improve both mental and physical well-being. But perhaps most beautifully, inner peace helps us live more fully. When you're no longer caught in the loop of seeking constant validation or battling with what's missing, you become more present. You notice small joys. You savor quiet moments. You feel grateful. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've made peace with what is. In the last section, we discovered that true inner peace creates a sanctuary within, one that shields us from the chaos of the outside world. When we live from that place of calm, we begin to notice something beautiful. The small, often overlooked moments become sources of quiet joy. And this opens the door to our next principle, gratitude. Principle 11, gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful yet gentle teachings in Buddhism. It reminds us that life, in all its simplicity, is a gift. Rather than constantly chasing after what we don't have, gratitude brings us back to what we already do and invites us to truly appreciate it. At its core, gratitude is about shifting our focus from scarcity to abundance, from what's missing to what's here right now that I can be thankful for. Consider something as simple as waking up in the morning. The moment your eyes open, you've been given another day, another chance to breathe, to learn, to connect, to begin again. Just by acknowledging that, with a quiet thank you, we plant the first seed of joy in our day. It doesn't require anything grand. Even something as mundane as a warm cup of tea or a soft breeze through the window becomes more meaningful when we notice it with a grateful heart. Incorporating gratitude into daily life doesn't need to be complicated, but it can be life-changing. Try keeping a gratitude journal, a few simple notes each day of what you're thankful for. These might be small things: a smile from a stranger, a good night's sleep, or a moment of laughter with a friend. But over time, this practice gently retrains the mind to focus on the positive instead of constantly scanning for problems. Gratitude also transforms our relationships. When we take time to genuinely thank the people around us for their support, their kindness, even their simple presence, we make them feel seen and appreciated. This deepens our connections, builds trust, and creates a more loving, supportive environment. It reminds us that we are not alone, and neither are they. But gratitude isn't just for the easy days. In difficult times, it becomes even more powerful. When life feels heavy, gratitude acts as a beacon of hope. It doesn't ask us to deny the pain, but it does invite us to look beyond it, to remember what's still here: a caring friend, a safe place to rest, the strength to keep going. This balance of acknowledging hardship while still honoring what's good helps us move through adversity with greater resilience. And gratitude doesn't just nourish the heart, it supports the body as well. Studies have shown that people who practice gratitude regularly experience better sleep, fewer health issues, and lower levels of stress. It can even support heart health by calming the nervous system and promoting positive emotional states. Why does this happen? Because when we live in a state of appreciation, we shift from tension to trust. We breathe easier, we soften. We begin to see life not as a list of unmet expectations, but as a collection of quiet blessings. Ultimately, gratitude brings us back to the present. It teaches us to pause, to look around, and to say, "This is enough. Right now, this is beautiful." After embracing gratitude, we begin to notice beauty in the smallest things: a quiet evening at home, the warmth of a shared meal, or sunlight filtering through trees on a morning walk. This awareness not only makes our lives richer, but also fills us with humility and connection. And that sense of connection leads us naturally to our next principle: harmony with nature. Principle 12: Harmony with nature. In Buddhism, living in harmony with nature is more than just enjoying the outdoors. It's a sacred recognition of our interconnectedness with the earth. This principle teaches that by aligning with the natural rhythms of the world around us, we discover greater peace, balance, and belonging. Nature operates with quiet wisdom. The sun rises and sets without force. Trees grow toward the light, then gracefully let go of their leaves when winter comes. Nothing is rushed, nothing resists. Everything unfolds in its own time. Buddhism invites us to observe this natural flow and learn from it. Just as a river follows its course without clinging to the banks, we too can learn to adapt to life's seasons, accepting change with grace rather than resisting what must transform. Harmony with nature is also about action, about living in a way that respects and protects the world we're part of. This doesn't require grand gestures. Even small acts like reducing plastic waste, conserving water, planting trees, or supporting local ecosystems are powerful when done with care and intention. They reflect a deeper understanding that we are not separate from nature, but one with it. Buddhist practice often incorporates time in nature as a way to cultivate mindfulness. Whether it's walking in a quiet forest, tending to a garden, or sitting beside a stream, these moments in nature help us slow down, breathe deeper, and return to the present. In these quiet spaces, the mind settles, thoughts fade, and what remains is a deep sense of clarity, peace, and connection to both the world and ourselves. Nature also mirrors the very teachings of Buddhism. The falling of leaves reminds us of impermanence. The way ecosystems depend on one another teaches us interdependence. Everything in nature is part of a cycle: growth, decay, renewal. And when we truly witness that, we begin to accept these same cycles in our own lives. Harmony with nature also brings measurable benefits to our health. both physical and mental. Spending time in natural settings has been shown to lower stress, reduce anxiety, improve mood, and even boost the immune system. It's not just the fresh air or exercise. It's the psychological reset that happens when we immerse ourselves in Earth's gentle presence. And on a broader level, living in harmony with nature nurtures a sense of stewardship. When we feel connected to the land, we're more likely to protect it, not from fear, but from love. We begin to see ourselves not as owners of the earth, but as caretakers, temporary guests with the responsibility to leave it better than we found it. Living in harmony with nature reminds us that our choices ripple beyond ourselves, touching not only the present moment, but also the generations that follow. When we live with awareness and respect for the earth, we begin to act not just for our own benefit, but for the health and balance of the world we all share. And that balance brings us to one of the most central teachings in Buddhism, the middle way. Principle 13. The middle way. The middle way is a core Buddhist principle that encourages us to walk the path of balance, avoiding the extremes of indulgence and denial. It's not about mediocrity or compromise, but about wisdom, discernment, and stability. Think of it like walking along a narrow ridge with steep cliffs on either side. If you veer too far in either direction toward excess or deprivation, you risk falling. The middle way teaches us to find that steady, centered place from which we can live with clarity and peace. In our personal lives, this might mean finding a healthy rhythm between rest and productivity, not overindulging in food, entertainment, or comfort, but also not depriving ourselves to the point of burnout. It's about caring for the body and mind in ways that are nourishing, sustainable, and kind. Emotionally, the middle way teaches us how to hold space for our feelings without letting them take over. Anger, sadness, frustration, they all arise. But instead of suppressing them or being ruled by them, we acknowledge them with awareness and respond with intention. For example, if someone upsets you, the middle way doesn't ask you to ignore your anger, nor to explode in rage. Instead, it invites you to pause, reflect, and speak from a place of grounded wisdom. This not only protects your relationships, but also cultivates emotional resilience and maturity. In decision-making, we're often pulled toward extremes, all or nothing, now or never. But the middle way encourages us to step back and consider a balanced perspective. Whether in business, family life, or personal growth, there's often a third path, one that integrates the best of both sides, leading to more thoughtful, lasting outcomes. Even in our ambitions, this principle guides us well. While striving for excellence is meaningful, pushing ourselves relentlessly can drain our health and joy. On the other hand, too little drive can lead to stagnation and regret. The middle way says, pursue your goals with passion, but also with mindfulness, honoring your well-being and relationships along the way. This principle also calls us to balance our own needs with the needs of others. It reminds us that self-care and compassion for others are not opposites. They are two parts of the same whole. When we live from this space, we contribute to a society that is more just, respectful, and kind. Physically, the middle way supports long-term health, whether in diet, exercise, or rest. Avoiding both neglect and overexertion leads to greater vitality. It prevents burnout, reduces chronic health risks, and fosters a lifestyle that supports peace in both body and mind. Ultimately, the middle way is a dynamic, living practice. It's about constantly recalibrating, staying flexible, and moving in harmony with life as it changes. It teaches us to live with intention, not swayed by extremes, but grounded in what is wise, kind, and true. A gentle closing reflection. And now we've completed our journey through 13 timeless principles of Buddhism, each one a guiding light toward a life of balance, clarity, and compassion. From non-attachment to the middle way, these teachings remind us that peace isn't something we chase. It's something we cultivate, moment by moment, through awareness, choice, and practice. If one of these principles spoke to your heart today, don't try to apply them all at once. Start small, start gently. Perhaps you begin by noticing your breath, or by pausing before reacting, or by expressing gratitude before bed. These simple steps, repeated with care, begin to reshape the way you live and love. And now, I invite you to become part of our growing community at Buddhism Seeds. If this video inspired you, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with someone who could use a moment of peace. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to leave a comment below. Which principle spoke to you the most today? How do you plan to bring it into your life? Let's continue growing together, one mindful step at a time.